Hello, everyone. Wait, let's run it back. I need a sound.
Audio Jungle.
Hey, everyone. Welcome to
Experts About Nothing.
My name is Priya.
And my name is Deeksha.
And we are experts about nothing, but we love to talk. So we thought we'd share some of our conversations with you all.
And some of the things we wanted to talk about are our lives as 20-year-olds, being in New York City, and facing this pandemic, and hopefully coming out of it.
Yep. And unfortunately, we're not actually 20-year-olds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But we'd like to think we are.
We're in the second half.
We're hitting mid-20s. We're in
We
mid-20s.
are. We are.
We're living, breathing mid-20s. So maybe this is the perfect time to, start a podcast to kind of flush out what we're going through. Because there's a lot. It's the midlife crisis to the midlife crisis.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's the quarter life crisis.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're excited to share our thoughts with you guys. And I think both of us, we were talking about this earlier, we have really been consuming the pod content ever since Miss Rona entered the chat. Okay?
Oh, yes. I feel like that my favorite podcasts are honestly the ones where I don't have to think too much and I could just hang out with a few other girls and hear about their experiences and their funny stories. And especially in the middle of the pandemic when we weren't going outside, hearing other people's experiences, like whether they're at home or like whether they're doing small activities, it just made everything feel more relatable, tangible, like we're not doing it alone. So
yeah,
hopefully
absolutely.
we can make others feel like that with some of our crazy experiences.
Yeah, I think it's so fun to hear about other perspectives, specifically female perspectives, I will say, because we're really interesting as a
Fun
species.
creatures.
Yeah. So just hearing girls chat with their friends and talking about work and talking about friendships and relationships.
And hearing their different dynamics.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. And we like to think we have kind of an interesting dynamic. We're very interesting people.
And that's the best way to describe it.
And I think everyone needs to think they're the most interesting person. That's the way to live life. So yeah, here we go. This is the pilot episode. Give us your feedback.
Please be nice.
A little nice, though.
Okay, so it's a new year. We've been trying some new things.
Yep.
I went skiing for the first time last weekend in Colorado, the ski capital of the world, of America.
I don't know. Yeah, okay.
It's definitely not of the world.
I don't know.
It's not. But I went skiing for the first time. I had a beat experience snowboarding for the first time 2 years ago with my work friends. We were at an offsite. Basically ate shit for the whole 2 hours, grand 2 hours. We were on the slopes, on the bunny hill. And it was super icy and basically was damaged for 3 days after my 2-hour venture into snow sports.
Right.
But yeah, so this time skiing was pretty nervous because I was so bad at snowboarding. So I was like, oh God, this is not going to be that great. Mainly because the equipment is just so heavy.
It's bulky.
And there's so many parts.
Why do you need 4 things to do a recreational sport?
You have 4 extensions of limbs.
Heavy. I can't.
So essentially, I did eat shit. The first 2 runs, I was falling a good amount. And when you fall, it's not just one fall, you're on the ground.
No.
You pick yourself up. It is you fall on the steepest part of the mountain, and then you are
sliding
you're sledding down.
You're just sledding. You started skiing, and now you're on a sled.
Uncomfortably sliding down a mountain, and then slowly you're losing all your parts. And then you're someone needs to help me.
One ski there.
Especially because in Breckenridge, that's where we were, there are so many people there. So, I think more than just the skiing, it was avoiding hitting other people.
Trying not to ram into babies while you're skiing.
Frankly, the kids are amazing.
No, the kids are amazing because they're risk averse and they are just I don't care if I tumble down this hill. And I'm
and
most of them 25-year-old,
they don't tumble. Most of them are stable as hell. They're
also so they're low to the ground.
Yeah,
I feel like
they're low to the ground.
The physics of it all. I mean, I'm also low to the ground, but like not that low.
Yeah. I think just having that many people around you, you just get so scared you're about to run into someone. But
Yeah.
I think what really calmed me down was everyone that's actually like a professional or like a seasoned skier, okay,
Yeah.
not professional, but seasoned skiers, they know how to control themselves around you.
Yeah.
So you don't really need to worry about that too much. It's mainly just on the going down. You just need to avoid, like, you just need to fall away from someone else. But yeah, luckily something happened in the middle. I became a ski star. I did by the end of it.
yes.
And I told all my roommates.
Unsurprising. Mind you, she was working herself up the full like month and a half
I
before
was
trip.
getting all
She's
the
like,
gear.
How am I gonna ski? Like blah blah blah, frazzled. And I'm like, I knew. I'm like, this girl's an athlete. She's gonna roll up on the hill, just be like jetting down, and that's exactly what she did. So
now I'm a ski star. Okay, and we're about to go
Yeah.
skiing every winter. Like
I don't
the
know about
peers.
me though. Well,
No, you're coming. You're coming.
I'll be tubing.
Okay, great. And then I'll pick you up from your
Yeah.
activity afterwards.
You can pick me up like a mom. Be like, come on, let's go, and be just tubing alone the whole day.
Perfect. So yeah, that was my fun new thing. Well, I think this is a good transition into what we actually wanted to talk about today. And that is basically just reflecting on 2021 and talking about some of our main themes, goals, vision boards for 2022. And I guess we can just kick it off with something that I was kind of thinking about when I went through this vision boarding exercise. And I feel like you, me, and like other friends in our friend group, we enjoy this activity, and like it's becoming more enjoyable every year. Because last year we made our first one, but I feel like both of us agree in that the format of last year's was more like, I need to do everything. And it kind of just was all of our goals listed on a piece of paper in some fun font.
And it wasn't even our, tangible goals. It was like all of our dreams, like
the
our
farthest
aspirations, like the highest of ambitions, just formulated or like visually displayed to us.
Yeah. And I feel like those goals are totally fine to have on a vision board, but I think when they're all like that, it becomes so unattainable, and like as the days go by and like the year goes by, you realize that maybe you didn't even hit one of them.
Yeah.
And that could be really demoralizing. I think we've seen throughout this year. And I also feel like we put a lot of pressure on this year because we saw the light at the beginning of last year. And then when we moved back, we were like, oh my God, this is our summer in the city finally, like as roommates. And then we got back and we realized that we had a lot going around us, like with work, with family, with everything. And just the general transition was a lot.
Yeah.
And I don't think we like planned for that when we were thinking about our boards.
Yeah. I think that adjustment, we very much underestimated the adjustment period of like moving back, being adults again. Like we're in a weird
cooking,
cleaning, like taking care of yourselves. We all just got uprooted from our adult lives so quickly in 2020, and then we were in this scary but also like weirdly comforting environment, being at
like
home,
childlike environment.
I felt like I was in middle school for like straight up a year and a half.
Yeah, basically being pampered.
I was
home.
getting fed, when you're at home, I feel like no matter what age you are, your parents take care
Your
of you.
responsibilities are truly halved at home.
Yes, quartered.
I mean,
like,
God bless. Like, God bless.
And that is something I hope everyone gets to, experience.
Yeah, we're super lucky for that.
But at the same time, we lost our sense of independence a little bit, and also our sense of adulthood, and just re-entering into society. Like, I forgot what it was like to just see people, like acquaintances, and like go to group things.
And I think especially because we went in our early 20s, like we started the pandemic when we were all 23, and then we were there at home for like a year and a half in our like early 20s, which was so shocking because we went from living alone, like having full-time jobs, like straight from college to adulthood, the full transition. And then after like 2 years, we just were like ripped out, not even 2 years, like a year and a half, we were ripped out of there. And then we're like, okay, let's be kids again.
Yeah, it was tragic, especially because I think we were finally hitting our stride of being adults. Like,
really?
we're finally hitting that, okay, we're not post-grad, like, close post-grad college kids. We're actually adults. We're getting, hitting our strides with our jobs and, like, finding our circles and all this stuff. And then we were ripped out. And something that not a revelation, but something that occurred to me this week was, I think because of this abrupt break in the middle of, because of the pandemic, a lot of friendships and like acquaintances that you were maybe like starting to build connections with, those things were kind of taken away from you.
Yeah.
And I recently, like since moving back, I feel like my circle has definitely gotten way smaller.
Oh, definitely.
It's not necessarily a bad thing at all, because I think the pandemic really, or like all this alone time really made me realize how much of a introvert I really am, and I do not see that as a bad thing at all. I'm not the most social person 100% of the time. So I love being in comfortable environments with people I know who, like love and care about me. And that's all great, but that sense of like pushing yourself socially when you want to and challenging yourself in that way, it's kind of hard to get back to that. And, now there's also the fear factor of it all, where you're like, I don't really want to be in a group of 100 people because I'm scared.
The social anxiety is so real now.
Yeah, it's like social and physical anxiety, like compounded.
I know. It's like the anxiety in the body, the anxiety in the brain.
I know. And I don't know how to act around people anymore. Oh my gosh. I just thought of the funniest story. This is the perfect representation of what I think like the social anxiety post-pandemic is like. I went to get my nails done for the first time with my cousin in California when I was visiting her, and the nail lady was just like asking us very basic conversational questions, and she was like, oh, where are you guys from? And I was like, oh, I'm from New York, just here visiting. And my cousin just goes, yeah, me too. Mind you, this woman is 30 years old, has been in the Bay Area for many years, and I just looked at her and I was like, why did you just say that? Like, she just like blatantly lied for no reason. And then we had to pretend this whole nail appointment was that she was from New York. And it was so awkward the whole time. We're just like, and they're like, oh, where in New York?
But I
and
get it,
like,
because you can't just be like, oh, just kidding. That's like a major lie. That's like a fact about yourself that she got wrong.
It's a major, just blatant lie. And I was like, why? What is happening?
It's really hard to come back from that.
That was an improv class of its own. Like, I was literally just, hey, time to bullshit for an hour and a half sans hands, because they were, oh my God, it was the most. But yeah, that's basically what it's like to try to like re-enter society and like make friends and build upon connections that you kind of lost and all these things. And it's awkward, it's weird, and we are navigating currently.
And it was so all that is to say that 2021 was definitely more of a transitional year, and the more friends we talk to about it, the more everyone kind of agrees on that. And so looking into this year's vision board, I think something I had going into it was that I would not be focusing too much on the pointed goals, but I'd rather focus on the energy I want to have and like my day-to-day mindset and how I feel every week, instead of aiming for some long-term goal that like maybe I'll hit by the end of the year. Focusing on what I can do every week to have a better year.
I actually love that. It's like your vision board should represent things you can implement in your life every day versus like at this point in time I'm gonna be achieving this milestone. It's more about, this is how I should start to incorporate things in my life, like the themes, the energies that I want every day.
Like for example, I remember last year I had like run a marathon on my vision board, but honestly I wasn't really running too much at the beginning of the year because it was winter, January, February, March. And then I came back to the city, and frankly, I just wanted to hang out with everyone and do city things. I didn't really want to spend all my time like running and training for this really intensive marathon, and I ended up like not accomplishing that. But this year I kind of just put a picture of someone running in a place in New York that's a little bit different, like running on the Brooklyn Bridge and running in Central Park. And I think that is more my energy, because I just want to run more in different places and appreciate the city. And that ultimately is what's going to bring me joy, not necessarily like checking off. Like, yeah, that would be fire if I actually get to the point where I can run a marathon, but baby steps. And ultimately I just want to run more because that makes me happy. So that's on my board. And then something else is like, I think this is common with a lot of people in their vision boards, just like having this certain job and working at this certain company and being promoted in this cycle and getting this salary. I feel like all of that can be achieved if you just adjust the mindset a little bit and just focus on like your week, like how you work and your working style, and adjusting that. Because ultimately I work better when I'm happier. And sometimes I find like I have these crazy weeks where I'm just work because I feel so behind. It's like a feeling. It's not even like I actually am. I just feel behind, and then I overwork myself, and then I'm like, oh my god, I didn't get anything I needed to done, and then I go crazy the next week trying to finish what I need to do. But yeah, just in general, just focusing on building better practices that will just make me happier as I go through these crazy weeks, you know?
Yeah, I feel that so hard. I was really weary when I was starting to create the 2022 vision board about having career goals, because those were the ones that I did not hit last year. And it was the same type of thing where I had very ambitious, you know, spelled out goals of like, I want this specific thing. And that didn't necessarily happen. And then I was doing a lot of like reflective question journal prompt things towards the end of 2021. And reading them back, what stood out to me the most was how much clarity I found in that department this year through the failure, honestly. Literally through not accomplishing what I put on my vision board, I was able to be like, oh, this is actually not the way I want to grow. I want to grow in a different way. And so my career goal, like the only real career thing I have on my vision board this year was like a quote about having, like, building tangible steps to achieve what you want. And I think a lot of times I have all these ambitious goals every year, and then I get stuck in a cycle of like the fatigue of not accomplishing them and feeling down about myself, and then feeling like I can't really try to do anything. And now we're reading Atomic Habits, just like everyone on the planet.
I did not start. The truth is.
Okay. Well, she's going to be reading it soon.
Finishing up something else. And then I'll come there.
But one of the biggest things, I highly recommend this book. Let me just, a quick tangent. Like,
no spoilers, though.
No
please.
spoilers. But a tangent is that some of these self-help books are kind of hard to get around to, because you're just like, oh, I'm just reading the same thing over and over and over again, and none of this is going to apply to my life. But this one is very applicable. Like, it's broken down in a really nice way, which, it gives you like step-by-step things that you can write down and start incorporating as you read the book. And, a big point, this is not a huge spoiler, but it's just building systems, not goals. And that's really what I want to focus on. It's like, I have these dreams for myself, but how can I break them down so small that it ends up just becoming part of my routine, and I'm kind of doing it without thinking about it, because ultimately that's what we all want to do. We want to just become better versions of ourselves. It's not really like, once we get to a milestone, what's going to change? Like, I'm just going to want the next thing. So instead of that, I just want to become a better version of myself, a better worker, finding out, continue on that path of clarity, which was like a huge theme of 2021 that I didn't realize I needed. So yeah, that hits.
And I also feel like something that I was kind of thinking about was just how we designate our time. Like, on a week-to-week basis, or even on our weekends, like, what are we doing during those times that brings us actual joy? And are we being productive during the hours we actually need to be productive? Or are we just kind of floating through the day and
work
stressing
from
at
home
night?
has put some struggles in that department.
Yeah. Some days I genuinely feel like I'm just trudging through the day, barely accomplishing
it feels like
anything.
You're dragging yourself to the finish line.
And then I'm like at the theoretical finish line at 6 p.m. and then I'm just more stressed about the next day.
Yeah.
Which I absolutely hate, and I can't live like that. But I remember something I did my senior year of college in second semester, because I was like, oh my god, I need to live a little in college. I can't just be at Offstars all the time. So I did something called One Fun Thing a Day, and like realistically we can't necessarily do one really fun thing a day. I mean, maybe we can, but I honestly, that's a little bit tiring for me too. I'd rather just like do a couple fun things a week, but just actively having those and putting it in your plan, seeking out like whatever those things are, trying the new things. I think when I first came to the city, one thing I was really eyeing for a while was to take a pottery class. And I don't know, I couldn't commit to like an 8-week pottery class, and I just like I still don't know why I didn't do it. I think I was just so excited to come back to the city and like be with my friends, because I used to live in Ohio and then I moved to New York, and then all of a sudden all my friends were near me and I just wanted to be active all the time and be with them. And when I did that, I was like, wait, like I'm literally I have my friends here and I have this amazing city, but I'm not really utilizing anything else that I could possibly be doing in the city other than just hanging out with people that I would hang out with in any place, you know?
Yeah.
So that's definitely something I want to start doing, just incorporating creative things that I've always been meaning to try, and doing it, honestly, Monday through Friday, too. I think our weekends are a little bit unpredictable, and especially when we want to travel or when we want to hang out with one another in a bigger group setting, we need kind of our weekends to do that. So... and it's also a relaxation time, like our do-nothing time. So I want to start doing things in the week.
Yeah, absolutely. Creativity is such a huge part of, like, my intention for this new year, because as part of that clarity journey I was talking about, I realized the huge void in my life of, like, not doing anything creative. And I had, like, dance was that thing for me for so long, and... I started dancing when I was 4. It was a pretty, like, consistent thing in my life until I was until I was probably, like, 18. And it was a huge source of creativity, obviously, but also discipline and catharsis. And I, like, truly think I got to explore so many parts of myself and escape into all these different, like, artistic things while I was dancing, and I haven't felt that type of joy or, like, I mean, just that feeling in so long. Yeah. Because once we got to college, it was just really like, okay, I'm gonna study, I'm gonna get a job and do the next thing and do the next thing, and you just are like, suddenly you're 25 and you're like, wait,
you're like, where are all my passions and hobbies?
Yeah, where are my hobbies? Like, there's more to life than just my 9-to-5 job. So yeah, I want to be creative, but I also want to be gentle with myself, because I think I tried that last year, but I was just very hard on, like, there was a lot of, like, self-deprecating talk, because I was like, oh my god, you're just not doing this, or, like, you're not good at dancing anymore, you're whatever. And obviously, me trying to dance again, I'm not going to be at the same caliber I was.
It's been, like, years,
It's been years. And I want to give myself the freedom to try whatever I've wanted to try, you know?
It doesn't have to be just one thing.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be just one thing, and it's, I also, there's just so much focus on being great at everything. And
don't even get me started.
I can't. I don't care to be great. Like, I want the creative part of my life. So much of our day-to-day jobs are like, oh, I have to be the best at everything. And I want to dissociate that weight with the creative side of myself.
That is the more fun aspect of our life. So we should be more gentle with ourselves in that area, because we don't need to be the best TikToker in the world to enjoy making a TikTok.
Yeah.
And enjoy the process of doing that. Like, we don't need to be the best painter to paint a little bit on a canvas. Like, I think I think we need to adjust the mindset there a little bit when we do fun things.
Mm-hmm. It should be more about the self-exploration of it all.
Yeah.
Because I don't think we truly, like, know ourselves that well. Like, there's so many...
That's the journey of the 20s,
That's the
darling.
journey of life, darling. It is... Who am I? Like, it truly is, like, whose body am I in? Like, I want to be able to really just try different things. Another thing that I was thinking about is I'm not the most artistic person in terms of, like, actual drawing and painting and all these different like crafts. But it's also a narrative I've just kind of been, like, pushing on myself and been told my whole life. Like, when I was younger, I would draw something and they'd be like, yeah, this is kind of bad. And I was like, oh, I guess I just suck at this shit. And then it was kind of a comical thing. Like, I'm like, oh, I'm horrible at art. Ha ha. Like, I don't know. It was literally just like an LOL.
Horrible at art.
That was like a fun, like, tidbit I thought was, like, quirky and fun, but I was, like, bad at art. And it kind of made me feel bad about myself. And then I wouldn't try to do, like, actual, like, artistic, you know, whatever, painting, drawing, even making, like, a birthday card.
Those things are so fun.
They're
like,
fun, and I don't think I am Picasso. I'm definitely not, in fact, but
none of us are.
But, like, whatever, I could still do it, you know? It doesn't have to be amazing, and if it makes me feel good to, like, paint a little bit, even if it's, like, a shitty-ass thing, like, that's fine, you know?
Yeah.
And it should still be fun.
I mean, there's so many different forms of that, too. Like, some people love doing their makeup, and that's a whole art form in itself. Some people love doing their hair every day. Like, couldn't be me, but they love it.
It's definitely not
and
me,
it's an
but
art.
Some people, they do that so well. And I love to watch them do it, but...
Exactly. Exactly. So, I feel like it comes in different forms, and we just have to find what we like. Doesn't matter if we're not amazing, and we'll get better at it if we want to get better at it, you know? If it's just as an outlet, I think we need to reduce the non-pressure we put on ourselves to be amazing at it.
Yeah.
But
exactly.
That's true. And then I guess one other thing that is kind of different from my board this year is I have more quotes on there. And I think these quotes are pointed at things that I tend to forget. So one quote that I have is, "Don't put yourself on fire to keep others warm." And I feel like I sometimes take it too far when I want to help someone out or someone asks me for a small favor or anything like that. And in the process of doing that, I burn myself out and I spread myself thin, but I'm still eager to do good in every facet of my life. So even if I'm like, oh, let me just like say the very pertinent example of my life the last year. So my older brother got married this past August, and the 3 months leading up to that were truly the most chaotic 3 months. It was, a privilege and an honor to help plan that. But it was, the first wedding in my family. He is the oldest cousin on both sides of my family, and my parents have never obviously like planned or been very close to the planning of a wedding in America. So I kind of just had to take some of the reins for some of this stuff. And it's also like in India, people just plan things in like 3 days, and it's not...
People whip up weddings in India like
in a week.
It's literally a whole masterful business there. And people can just call a guy and you have a wedding. Like, that's it.
Exactly. And here there's so much, like, you have to book the venue at least a year in advance. You have to go to tastings. You have to figure out menus, figure out decorations, like everything from just like transporting your things and getting your outfits, like, and also shopping in the middle of a pandemic when you can't go to India, a whole other... I can literally do a whole episode on wedding planning
struggles.
And not even my own. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just planning a general wedding.
An adjacent
that is
wedding.
Indian. But yeah, I think that whole process took a lot from me. And I don't think it had to. Ultimately, I think I was the one that was putting set amount of pressure on it just because I wanted it to be great for my brother.
Yeah.
And I wanted, like my brother and sister-in-law to have a good time and not be stressed during. And frankly, it's impossible because you will be stressed during your wedding. But ultimately, it was like the best week of our lives. We had so much fun. It was filled with love and joy, and we had so many people come.
It was so fun.
Yes.
Can attest. Like, can attest fire wedding. But
it was a great time, but I do think I overdid it in terms of the amount of time I was kind of always thinking about it. And I wish I time boxed a little bit more and just focused on, 2 hours. I'm going to do this. Like, and then I'm going to move on to the other things I have to do and not have my head clouded with this one task that I'm doing. I feel like sometimes I'm just so scatterbrained and like I want to do everything at once, and I'm just kind of like, I need to be as efficient as possible at all times. And then in that process, I burn myself out so much.
Yep.
And then I end up being exhausted and cranky, mean, all of these things that I literally don't want to be, and usually I'm not, hopefully. But and I feel like just understanding when I need a break, taking it, and then, being able to happily help instead of like overwhelmed help and like be so chaotic all the time.
No, I think that's so like a good point, like such a good point, because I think some of your best qualities is that you're very selfless, but then you of, but it can come at the cost of yourself, which ends up, slowly wearing you down. And I think a lot of us do that to ourselves. Like, it's just kind of, we're growing in a society that very much like glorifies like working yourself to a nub. It's a little more toxic than like should be glorified, right? Like we shouldn't be working ourselves 1,000,000 hours a day. That's not really natural, and we should be helping others, but not at a cost to ourselves. Because ultimately you're becoming, a lesser version of you through that, and then you're not being, what other people need at that point.
And something that I think that's like so real is, after you finish all these things, like after this wedding, I took one sigh of relief, and then I was like, okay, now it's time to going on everything I've like felt slip or felt like I lightly slipped on for the last 3 months. And then I was like on this chaotic like binge to just finish everything I haven't done or like I felt behind on, and that was also a different level of like stress and a different type of stress that I'm like, I literally didn't need to do that. And I remember like we went on vacation to Zion in October after this wedding, and I was like, oh my God, like why am I still stressed after this vacation? I was stressed leading up to the vacation because we're just getting all our things together. And then I was stressed after coming back, and I was like, when am I not going to be stressed? Like, I think that is the key. I'm like, why am I always stressed? And this year, my mission is to truly break that down and figure out why I'm stressed and just not do those things, frankly.
I mean, I think that is leading me into the last point of my vision board, which is...
Tie it up.
I'm trying to be hella reflective this year. And not one big reflection at the end of 2021, which I did last year. But I think... literally taking pause quite frequently and taking inventory of like what's going on, what's making me happy, what's not making me happy, what's making me stressed at a more frequent cadence would do me so well, because oftentimes I let things ball up and spiral, and then
it's like a breakdown,
and then it's a full breakdown, and I'm trying to just avoid that and have mini breakdowns every or like they're not breakdowns, but they're just mini reflections to just check in with myself to know what's happening. And a huge, like, I really value my alone time, and I really value my mornings. It's like one of my favorite things ever. I love the morning. And when I wake up early and have my full routine with my cup,
look out the window.
I stand in front of the window, solid 5 minutes, and just stare out there with my coffee. And it's truly the best part of my day. And the days that I don't do that and I'm just scrambling, like getting up, running to my laptop, I have a horrible, unproductive day. It's actually just like not a good day. And those little moments of like, wow, I really like this, or I like that time, because it's just time before my mind gets clogged up with all this random shit that I'm going to start, consuming throughout the day.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think checking in with ourselves and that's the only way we're going to be able to like break some of these more habitual cycles that we've created over the course of our whole lives. You know, it's not going to be broken down by reading one book or like listening to one podcast. It's going to be constant work. And I think I've really started to realize that. So hopefully we can do some of those check-ins with you guys, you know, on this pod.
So we thought we'd end on a more lighthearted note, given that we just talked about our hopes and dreams and aspirations for the last 40 minutes. Yeah, so we thought we'd talk about just our favorite thing of the week. So, Priya, what's your favorite thing?
Okay. My favorite thing is like a growing favorite. I don't know if she's like favorite status yet, but I am liking running. No, let me tell you, I have had the most tumultuous relationship with running. I've had to a 10 to 11 minute mile since the 5th grade.
I mean, that's not bad.
It's not terrible, but it's like
I was only it has to be in 12 to be healthy or something, right?
Yeah. But I could only, that was it. It was 1 mile. And then that was like the end of that for me.
Yeah.
But since the beginning of January, I've literally been running 2 to 3 times a week.
She's a runner. She's a track star.
She's a track star. Like, it's crazy. I've been running. I'm using Nike Run Club, and the guy who does it is like Ted Lasso, and he's just like cheering me on, and it's kind of hype. So I have been enjoying running. I don't know if it's my favorite thing, but it's definitely like...
Tell them about what you signed up for. Tell them.
Oh my God, guys. I'm doing a 5K.
She's doing a 5K, people. Central Park. Come watch her.
Central Park 5K. Yeah, so we'll see how it goes. I hope I can keep up with this hobby because it is kind of nice.
No, I love running. Yeah, but it definitely especially running outside takes a long time to get used to.
The key is I used to always run on the treadmill. I never really ran outside. Honestly.
No, I never ran outside
anytime
until the pandemic.
Yeah. And then we moved to a beautiful area where there's like we can run by the water, so we started to do that and
changed our lives. Honestly,
it literally changed everything. Like now I'm like, I need to always be by like a body of water to like run across.
It really increases happiness tenfold.
Literally, yeah. So yeah, that's my favorite.
Okay, my favorite is the sugar cookie latte at Starbucks. I've been raving about it constantly.
She has been.
And basically this started over Christmas break. I had 1, and then I had 4, and then it became my usual order. And I'm really scared that one day they're going to be like, we can't make it.
Yeah, because of the butter syrup, everyone. That's the secret ingredient.
That's what it said online. I was just trying to find out, but I wasn't.
We need to like hoard the butter syrup. We need to get some.
Yeah, somehow this drink is just so magical and actually tastes like a buttery shortbread cookie.
It is really good, and I don't love sweet coffees like that all the time.
It's not that sweet. That's why I like it.
It's like a unique flavor. Like you would think it would be really sweet, but it's actually kind of like a fun little
They don't have the sprinkles anymore. Most places don't have the sprinkles anymore, but it's fine. The taste is still there. But I do highly suggest switching out the almond milk. I honestly just don't like almond milk, but if you switch it out for oat, you're going to be happy. You're going to be happy for sure. And yeah, I love this drink. So that's that.
All right. On that sugary note, we're going to peace out. Thanks, you guys, for listening.
Thanks so much. See you guys next week. Bye.
What do you mean? What do you mean?